Hey, we are at RIA Edge West, and I'm excited because I've got Gary Roth, the co-founder, co-CEO of Modern Wealth Management. Gary, thanks for being here, man.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's good to catch up and just take a few minutes to talk about like the industry at large.
Yep.
And what you're seeing from trends and what other advisors should expect and what they should be thinking about their firms. Like I think you've got, just from the short time we've talked, a really unique perspective. So I'm excited to kind of like dig into this question.
Cool.
But my question for you is, we see fee compression, we see fee reduction all throughout financial services, right? Except in like financial advisory fees. And so there's this like looming question for people like, oh, is that 1% AUM? Like going to nosedive too, along with like all these other areas.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that and like just the future of advisory fees themselves?
Yeah, so I'd say a couple of things. I've been in the business now for a couple of decades, and I feel like I've been hearing about fee compression for 20 years, or like the threat of fee compression, and when's it going to happen? And from what I've seen, it hasn't really happened in terms of what the average fee is so much. It did maybe in the early 2000s as people moved from the brokerage firms that were charging a lot.
Right.
But this 1% has hung around for a long time. Mm-hmm. People are, I think, doing more today to earn that 1%, kind of a broader suite of services, instead of maybe it would have just been investment management or financial planning would have been separate. Now it's sort of like a combined fee.
Right.
And other services that are being added, like we do proactive tax planning and things like that. So I think it hasn't happened, but I also kind of question whether it should or will happen, because I kind of, if you go in the other direction, all we hear about is how everything's more expensive these days.
Right.
And
it's all going up.
We live that way, our clients live that way. Mm-hmm. And in every service that we seek out, in every category of things, whether it's, doctors or lawyers or accountants, or, we're here at a hotel at a conference. Well, guess what? This conference happens to be at a Ritz-Carlton. There's a Marriott right down the road. Same company, very different pricing and service model.
Very different.
So I guess I just kind of question, why aren't advisors, instead of worrying about how do I hang on to my 1%, if you think you're delivering a premium service, or if you think you could define a premium service, why wouldn't you go the other way and say, I can break out of the pack, I don't need to be charging 1%, maybe I'm worth more because I do the following things for my clients, and articulate that value proposition to clients and prospects. Because we see in every category, people are willing to pay more if they think they're going to get a better experience or more for their money. Everyone on a plane is paying a different price, right? Yeah, you can pay more for movies that have assigned seating versus general admission. So again, those are mundane things, but this is what we do for clients is so much more important than many of the things that people will pay up for. So I don't think it's inevitable, but I do think it's inevitable that there should be more disparity between quality and types of service that advisors are providing and what clients are willing to pay and what they can charge for that.
So it kind of seems like we are asking the wrong questions, or maybe just altogether having the wrong conversation when it comes to like fees for advisors, right? It's more about the mindset of what are you doing, what are you delivering?
Right. And
then like own that value, right?
Yeah.
Just have that, it's like business owner 101, have that confidence in the service you provide.
Yeah, absolutely.
And charge accordingly.
And if you're, frankly, if you're sort of cutting your fees to out of fear, to just try and stop your clients from leaving, then I would say, and this is not my line, I think I heard this in business school, cost cutting is not a strategy.
No,
and
don't compete on price.
And don't compete on price. And if you feel like you need to be cutting your fees just to keep your clients, then you really need to be looking at what you're doing.
Right.
And I would say, if the person down the street is undercutting you, well, explain why your value proposition is better.
There's probably a reason for that.
Yeah, and if it's not better, then maybe figure out how it could be better.
How you can be, absolutely. And you bring up such an important point, though, of how you guys are doing more than you ever have.
Yeah.
I think we see that throughout firms where they just keep adding services. Like, first it was like, okay, we're going to do financial planning along with the investment management. And then it was like, okay, we're going to do estate planning. Now we're doing tax planning. It's like it just keeps going.
It does.
And it stresses the team resources, profit margins shrink, and so it's
Yeah.
just about like really running like a good, healthy business to not just keep giving all this stuff away for free, really, right?
Yeah. Well, I think that model stresses the small businesses for sure.
Right.
And obviously we have a different model. We have multiple offices and we have a corporate team. So I think then that becomes a question of how does the individual practitioner compete with sort of the multi-office and sort of like companies that have more infrastructure. And there's always ways to compete, right? Like it could be I know you better, it's more personal, all of those things. But what you do have is businesses, I think, throughout the RIA industry that are being a little bit more professionalized in a way where it's not just the one person or two people, and they have experts in different areas. In our business, we talk about the 4 C's being in the meeting. So the first and most important C is the client, but then CFP, CFA, and CPA. I'm like, how many C's have I said?
So many C acronyms.
So and not in every meeting, but you're going to have obviously a planner involved. You have investment expertise, the CFA expertise, and you're going to have the accounting expertise for tax planning, because that might have the biggest sort of financial alpha for people in terms of like your ability to impact how much they're paying in taxes versus really how differentiated are your market returns. That, and obviously financial planning and helping people make good decisions and understand what they can and can't do. And that's very different than 20 years ago when it was just you either have sort of planning-centric advisors or you have investment-centric advisors, and they built their books with whatever kinds of clients were attracted to one or the other. But we see a lot less of that sort of just one style advisor and more sort of comprehensive services. And it's true, and it is kind of for the same fee, but if they can do it with a broader team for more people, because it's not just a sole practitioner, then you can still make it scale.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So takeaway for me: know your value, own your value. There you go.
That sounds good. That's a great tagline.
Perfect. Gary, thank you, man.
All right,
Appreciate
thanks,
you.
Johnny.
Thanks so much. We'll see you again soon.